live. Good morning.
Hello.
We are currently using our satellite technologies to call in Cindy from you're in Mars right now, right? That's why.
Welcome to the future. No,
That
I am in the future.
in the future, all video looks like this.
Yes, it is terrible.
Hello, good morning. It's Tuesday. It's another Cleric Talk Tuesday. I'm Michael Bramling, the Bard Creative, and this is
Cindy Munoz, the blob, the blob, and
this is Cindy from the future.
oh my God, it's bad. I'm looking at it on another phone, through the Twitch streaming thing, and it looks terrible.
No, you look great, Cindy.
No, it's bad. It's bad. And then to top it all off, if it sounds like I'm a little bit underwater, it's because I'm under the weather. I'm fucking sick.
We've got a couple of quick announcements before anything. This weekend is the Jet City Comic-Con here in Tacoma. If you have a chance to come by, it's going to be this Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 6.
Yeah,
it's going to be there. We're going to be joined. We're going to be joining with the Alexander Library, and we're going to do a little bit of like a learn to play and a couple of Adventure League games. So if you get a chance, come out, check it out, come play with us. It'd be great. If you don't know how to play, this is where you should be to learn how to play. Other than that. Cindy, you were gone yesterday. You're gone today. What have you been up to?
Besides being a pixelated mess, I have been up to getting sick, but most importantly, making some hashish. I've been joining the cleric over here on his farm at Walden, and the people at Walden Farms have asked that I come by and show them how to make some hash, and I've made some bubble hash, and I've gotten to actually learn a new machine while I've been here, Michael.
Oh yes, what is it? It's a hydro freezer.
It's a freeze drying machine, so it's the same kind of freeze drying machine that you can purchase for yourself and make delicious treats or store away things for an apocalyptic catastrophe. Or maybe you just like to cook a lot and you're trying to figure out how to store it all. This is a really good, this is amazing. But aside from using it for your daily use, it is also used in the cannabis industry. What it is used for in the cannabis industry is that because I use solventless extraction, which is using water. Water is universal solvent, right? But we're talking about like not chemicals. And so I use ice water, super, super cold water, to break off the trichome, which is the little white little speckles stuff that are covered all over the cannabis that makes it sticky, that makes you get high. It's got all kinds of scientific facts that go into it. We won't go into that. But anyway, so it breaks that off, and then it dumps into these little micron filters that are meshes, and then I get different types of grade of hash. And then what I do is, because it takes so long to dry and for it to finally cure, the freeze dryer cuts that in half. Well, probably way more than half. It could take up to 10 to 24 hours for a process, instead of taking about, I don't know, a week to a couple of weeks, depending on how you're storing it. So, and what we're trying to accomplish here is we're trying to make dabbable hash too, not just like regular water hash, just that you would throw on your bowl or smoke by itself by heating it up. It's something that you'd want to be able to take a dab of, and it won't leave any sort of residue on your nail. Which, if people have questions about that, I would answer them, or else there's no point in me going into much of a deep detail for that.
No, that's awesome. That's great. following that, tonight is also Demons and Devils with Daniel Morales.
Yes.
Are you prepared for tonight's adventure?
Mentally, yes. Physically, with paper, with all my D&D Beyond, no. Hey, Commander, welcome. No, I was sick. If I wasn't making hashish, I was sleeping.
If I wasn't making hashish,
I was asleep. I'm sorry, Mikey. I was sleepy. I got sick.
Well, hey,
so Josh got sick, and then Josh got me sick.
I'm not the one who's going to get yelled at for not doing their homework.
I'm not going to get yelled at because I am going to do my homework when I'm done here with you, Boogery.
Ooh, Boogery.
Did you say hi to Commander, or are you just too busy trying to give me some shit, huh?
Both. So there we go. Hey, Commander. Let me. I gotta get this closer to my face so that I sound less quiet. Am I still super quiet?
No, you're not super quiet. You're never super quiet.
You're never super quiet. Cindy, listen. I miss you, and you suck because you're far away.
I know.
So this weekend is both Josh's birthday charity event at Zulu's. If you guys don't know about it, we've put out a couple of things on Warhorn. $10 donation to play. It's going to be fun and awful all at the same time. We're also
It's going to be amazing. What game are we playing, Mikey?
We're playing Drums of the Dead. Do you know what tier we're playing? I think we're playing.
I believe we are playing the tier 2. I believe is what we're at.
Tier 2?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Drums of the Dead has a little bit of a history since the last time it's been played. Drums of the Dead has been one of the modules that has just killed the most players.
Yeah, it's meant to be pretty fucking brutal, bro.
That's true. That's very, very true. As for Jet City this weekend, are you gonna be joining us? Oh, there's your face. Oh, I lost your face.
Oh no. Hold on. Did it work now? Give me a second.
Maybe. You're a little. There we go. Hey, there's your face. Dude, get out of here, dude. Get out of here, dude.
Did it work? Am I on? Oh yes. My god! I think it's live. Ah!
I love you so.
So yeah. I love you too, Marcus. No. Yeah. So quickly.
That's okay. The Frozen picture looks great. It's fantastic. I could look at this forever. So Jet City is going to be this weekend. You're going to be joining us, right? You're going to be there with.
Oh yeah. No, I'll be back. I'm going to be back in the studio before Josh is even back in town. So we're fine.
So are you? Because we haven't gotten much time to talk about Jet City because we got approached by the organizer on Monday, yesterday.
Okay. Yeah.
We have like zero time to prepare for all of this crazy nonsense. Are you gonna DM for us?
I'm probably not because I'm probably gonna be busy trying to get everything ready for the evening. I don't know. Can you see I want to show the washing machine that I use.
Why do you? Oh, is that a Whirlpool? That's a really good brand.
No, it's not a Whirlpool.
Is that a Kenobi? Kenobi has really good brands.
It's called the Bubble Magic Machine.
It looks like a washer.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it's like. Like an RV washer, and then you use this hose that we've maneuvered, and then we would put like on top of this box, we would put like a grate, like that grate that you saw for the fan,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'd put these buckets that are over here. They're like cut up, and then we would use these bags. See, there's some of them that are drying up here on the top,
Oh, I can't.
and they have
You're
different
frozen.
sizes.
You're
Oh,
frozen.
god damn it. It's always frozen. Anyways, I was hoping to get to show some of it while I could. I realized that it freezes. I have to turn off the camera, turn it back on, turn it on, turn it off. Anyways, I'm sorry. So, yeah, I'm probably not going to be DMing or doing anything too much at Jet City. I'm probably just going to kind of help with some of the admin stuff, and then while I'm still trying to juggle what's going on at Zulu's.
Okay.
So that'll be fun.
That will be fun. Let's see.
But
What else?
if any of you guys that are watching are going to be at any of these events, please come and say hi.
I have noticed that there are a couple of new people in the Tacoma and Seattle cosplay groups on Facebook, so we might see a couple of new faces at Jet City this upcoming weekend, which would be really kind of nice.
Yeah, this is going to be the first year that I'm not going to be able to participate in. Uh-oh. Hold on a second. Hold on.
Commander, my nan had a washing machine like that.
Can you hear me?
We know what Nano is doing.
Oh, no. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Sorry, I'm using Josh's phone and he just got a call.
Oh, now she's gone. Well, oh wait. Oh, maybe to fill that.
Yeah, I saw you guys got a video of me picking nose. How fun. Okay. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. What were we saying? Oh, yeah, this is the first year that Zeke's not going to be able to compete in the cosplay costume contest because I had to purchase his costume this year.
Oh, I see.
I did not have enough time. It ran up on me.
I'm really looking forward to when Sylvie gets old enough to cosplay. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get some service and get through the shop really quick and see if we can say hi to the cleric. Give Josh a little hello in this element, in this little world.
You don't try hard enough, Ben. You brat.
So these are the bins that go sky high filled with weed.
Nope.
No.
Nope.
No what?
Nope. It's really kind of fun to watch this super glitchy video. It's so great.
Can you see him?
No. It looks like behind you there are bathrooms. This is you from the future. This is what we have to look forward to. Oh.
Is that better now?
No.
Oh, it still looks awful.
No, it's delayed on.
I want to, Commander, if you get a chance to, take some awesome photos and send them in. I would love to see some cool cosplays from London. Yeah. Ah, hey, look, Ashma's got a nice pink hair. And then they froze him. That's a good picture, though. Look at him smiling. He must be having a good day. Right. So I need to fill, yeah, frozen, but also clear. It's like a good, like all the other frozen blips of her is like it's super artifacty, but this one looks fine. This one looks nice. So to fill time after our little conversation with Cindy and hopefully the cleric, we are going to kind of move into building encounters. I have just started building a homebrew game for my girlfriend and her friends and some people. So something that I know a lot of DMs can struggle with is building an encounter using like budgeting experience points and like how many fights in the game can they do in a day. There's a handful of tables and it can get kind of confusing, but I think that I can simplify it and really kind of help uh, all of our new DMs or DMs who don't fully understand the budgeting aspects and building encounters. I think I can help out. Give us a couple of pointers and tips as we'll go about building an encounter. She's still out, right? Totally dead. So we're gonna wait a couple of minutes, I guess, and see if we can get her back. In the meantime, yesterday I painted a mini in 3 hours, and that was impressive and really fun. Fritz was there. Fritz helped me out with a lot of tips and techniques. I learned how. So we have different washes, right? We have a dark tone wash. We have a strong tone wash, which Fritz had me do. I love the strong tone. It has a real browning kind of effect, and I think it's going to look really good on anything that's not like dark magenta. Like it did not pull through very well with a dark magenta. But on the purple, it looks good. It had like a really like not subtle. It was subtle enough, but strong enough so that you could still see fine details and it really kind of helped the mini pop. So that was cool. I'm gonna keep filling time. No, although I can. So Strahd is still just primed. Cindy does have Strahd's face paint. I think I can get this in here. It's not gonna. Anyways, so Strahd is still getting worked on, but we should see. God, I don't know how long it's gonna take for her to finish that, but maybe next Monday she'll be able to get through it. I am kind of excited. I don't know if I'm gonna do a torture chair or if I'm gonna do a werewolf. But Cindy has this ridiculous werewolf that has like he's in this cool pose, and then in one hand he has a severed hand. So like that's metal and gnarly. So I might paint that, which would be kind of cool. I think we're gonna just move into the second part of the segment where we're gonna build an encounter. Well, maybe more than build an encounter, build some encounters. Werewolves are medium, which is a fun and cool tidbit. And also, werewolves aren't like the top lycanthrope. Like I think it's were-boar and like were-tiger and were-bear. Like those three are like leagues above the werewolf, which I thought was kind of like it makes sense. It's cool and it's neat, but in my heart, I feel like the werewolf was like the top dog of the lycanthrope troop. Are we ready to kind of go into building encounters? Or are we still setting up? Dun, dun, dun. Ooh, that's like Bubba Yaga's house.
We're gonna cut.
Okay. Yeti speaking. Sound good? Sound good? Oh my god. So one thing that we've really gotten to experience in the past several days is technical difficulties. Everything from how to call someone in who's in Eastern Washington down to like having multiple cameras, and Streamlabs had an update that kind of crashed a lot of drivers, and I think they're still working on a way to solve the problems that a lot of streamers are having. So anyone who has a multicam setup, I mean, it's tough and agonizing, but it is I think it's worth it when we get multiple cams. Multipass. Ooh, it's starting to look good. There you go. Yeah. There we go. Hey, that's a fine transition. Sorry, I was quiet for a second. So, we're moving into a segment of we're going to build encounters. We're going to try and understand adequate and proper ways that you can challenge your players without with an understanding of how strong they are in game, and it's something that'll help you really kind of build your own adventure. So the go to manage characters if you can. So building encounters is comprised of two very, very key things. First off, it's how many players do you have, and what level they are. Now, we're using the beta encounter builder from D&D Beyond. It's a fantastic tool. If this is something that you don't want to use and you want to stick to your paper and pencil and just using the Dungeon Master's Guide, you can find the tables that you need to find on pages 82, and 84. There's some charts in there. It also has relevant information, so anything that I might skip or you need clarification on, you can always read about these in the Dungeon Master's Guide. So what we're going to do is we're going to stick to our standard 4 players, and we're going to have them all be first level because that's super easy to do. So we're going to go ahead and change quantity to 4 and levels to 1, and go ahead and exit out of that. Perfect. Now on the top right, you'll see encounter summary, this thing right there, we go, right above me. On there, you can see that it's got easy, medium, hard, deadly, daily budgets, total XP adjusted things, all of this stuff. This is all going to really make sense in just a moment. Now, the easy, medium, hard, and deadly, these are the 4 suggested difficulties for experience totals. That's, oh gosh, I gotta make sure that I say this right. Your players have kind of an XP value that dictates the difficulty of an encounter. The difficulty of the encounter is based off the experience of the challenge rating of the monster, and that will correlate directly into kind of building your encounter. So you can see, are you just adding a bunch of chickens?
Nope.
Yup. So easy, 100 experience points. A group of 4 first level characters can fight any kind of monster. I think a CR. Here we go. A challenge rating 1/2. This is like an ape, a hobgoblin, a gray ooze, an orc. If the players, 4 first level characters were to fight 1 orc, it's an incredibly easy fight. There's really no danger to any of it, etc., etc. Medium, hard, and deadly. Here we go. A fun one is let's do. Oh, here we go. Give me an orc, and give me a wolf. Perfect. So, looking at our encounter summary, there are things that obviously when you look on there, we've got total XP, adjusted XP. Adjusted XP correlates to the more monsters you have in your encounter, it's going to multiply the total XP by a certain amount. If you have 2 monsters, it'll multiply it by 1.5. If you have 3 to 6, it multiplies it by 2, and it scales up from there. So we can see that, what do we have? We have 2 wolves and an orc, and we're looking at an adjusted value of 400. Now, when we look at our easy, medium, and hard difficulties, it is a deadly fight. It's a fun, deadly fight. This means that your players will most likely have to expend most of their spell slots and a bunch of resources, and they'll have to be tactically paying attention tactically. Wolves have pack tactics, so having 2 wolves on a single character means that you can almost guarantee to constantly deal damage to a character. First level, nobody really has more than the average life is around 10 HP. So between the wolves and an orc, you can really wipe out a character over and over and over.
Average life is 10 HP?
I've seen a lot. Yeah, I would say the average HP is around 10.
Wizards, warlocks, and...
Okay, but if they have okay, alright. We'll change that to an 8. We'll change it to an 8. So if you look at a wolf, a wolf, if you go ahead and click on the wolf in the full pull down. The other one. Yeah. And here's some statistics for it. So it's going to be running 2d4 plus 2. The average hit is a 7. And I mean it's enough that you can drop you could drop a player with a wolf, and especially again with pack tactics. So all of these things really make it a deadly fight. Now, one other thing that I want to point out is you have a thing here called daily budgets. Daily budget is what you're going to do to reference how much experience or how many encounters in terms of experience players can handle in a day. So a group of characters could handle about 3 deadly fights before they needed to go into a long rest. You also want to factor in that between your daily encounters that you're going to have about 2 short rests. So when you're kind of building encounters for your adventure, in this scenario, if we were to do 3 deadly encounters, 3 encounters that are 400 XP value, we would have a short rest in between the 2 encounters, and then by the time they finish the 3rd deadly encounter, that would be the end of the day. Also, this would also level the characters. So what you want to do is you want to pay attention to kind of your daily budget. If you want to have about a session that runs a couple of hours, you want to kind of mix up medium, hard, and deadlies. I've found that easy and medium encounters are really little to no challenge to players. If you have players that really love combat and they really, really like engaging in these fights, having a handful of medium fights to kind of satiate the combat needs really works out well. If you have players that want to play kind of a hardcore, I stick mostly to just deadly fights. I think that I've noticed that players, if they can work as a team, a deadly fight isn't. It's challenging enough without being overwhelming. But that again follows suit that your players need to work as a team. If they don't work as a team, it's very easy to kind of dismantle them and tear them to pieces. So maybe to better understand your player base, don't throw a bunch of deadly fights at them in a row, even if there's short rests in between. I mean, I'm going to do that because I know my players. But for you, definitely encourage like maybe a scaling up of like medium hard to deadly. That's kind of a fun, cool way to kind of go about things. And then obviously, as a DM, this is one of my favorite kind of elements of DMing is building these encounters. When you, as your players kind of level up, it really opens up avenues for you to create fun storylines and story arcs. The home game that I'm working with, I've a good way, a way that I've found to really kind of go about approaching a home game is to look at them in terms of tiers. If you're an Adventures League player, you know that the game is comprised of tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. And what that means is characters between 1st and 4th level is tier 1, then 5 to 10, and 11 to 16, and 17 to 20. All these things, numbers, don't worry about it. But what I'll do is I'll go manage characters and give me 4th level characters. It's. Did it add or do something? Go back.
The difficulty.
A little bit. Go back to. Okay, never mind. Everything's fine. So obviously, you can tell that 4th level characters can handle more than what we encountered previously. So previously, deadly encounter was 400 experience points. Now, when we look at the table, it's 500. So a deadly fight is completely menial at this point. But we get a budget all the way up to 2,000. In the Dungeon Master's Guide, in the back around pages like 307, I think is where it's at. It has a bunch of monsters that are put by CR levels. So when we get to kind of, at this point in the game, we can look at monsters that are challenge rating of 5. This is like a deadly boss fight. And you can kind of like thumb through and find something that is really kind of fun and like something you kind of build your story around. And these budgets, again, are primarily just suggested. So if you were to go a little bit above or a little bit below, it will... it won't ruin the things you're trying to do. So in this regard, we're going to look at challenge rating 6 monsters. If you want to go and change your filters just to challenge rating 6 monsters. And then, yep, there we go. Yeah, perfect. So now we have a really cool and amazing list of like big bosses that we can kind of culminate the players to all go into in a fight. Now a CR6 creature has a XP value of 2,300, so it is above the deadly category. However, it's not too far above and beyond that the players aren't going to be able to face it. So just kind of like thumbing down, like there's a Bodak. We've got mummies, we've got chimeras, Cyclops, Medusa is in this category, young white dragon. That's a cool one. I like the young white dragons. I like dragons in general. So in these things, we can pick. We can keep it simple with like Dragon of Icefire Peak and just say like a young white dragon. This is like the overarching big fights at the finale of our little like tier 1 adventure. And then from this point, we can kind of scale things backward. So there's the young white dragon. Now, the one thing that you have to be one thing that you should probably do, not that you have to do this, is when you look at the stats of the monster, look at some of the crazy things that they have. So if we're looking at a young white dragon, the tactics that a young white dragon have are like flying around, using its cold breath, and like those things give it a huge advantage in combat. Just the flying thing, like moving around, and the mobility aspect is a really big thing. But the scariest thing is probably the cold breath. So we're looking at this thing. It's a 30-foot cone. It's a con save, and it deals like 10d what damage? 10d8, with an average amount of damage of 45. Now, hopefully at this point, the players have, magic items. They've kind of built like resistances or what have you. They're somewhat prepared to fight the dragon. Otherwise, like the young white dragon, if the players are grouped into a thing, you can expect it to just completely wipe out an entire party. And I mean, that would be a really odd way to kind of end the adventure. It could be fun. It could be enjoyable. People might enjoy this.
For newer players, would they understand what a 30-foot cone is? Like what?
Ooh, that's a good question. So for new players,
Fritz also has a question in chat.
So first thing I'm going to do, I'll address Fritz's question. Are there any monsters I would warn DMs for throwing at their players? Yes. So I'm going to stick to kind of the tier 1, because this is where new players all begin. 1st level to 4th level. Whenever, within this kind of level range, the DM has the capability to introduce monsters that have damage immunities to things that aren't magical or non-slivered or silvered. So were-tiger, werewolf, vampire.
Slivers too.
Slivers. You know how they get to add their things to all other slivers.
Yeah.
Gemhide, get out of here, dude. Whenever you run into a monster that has damage immunities, either A, you need to be able to give your players the ability to damage the monster by like really leading them to either silvering their weapon, if it's like a were-rat or something of the like. That's pretty much those are the only monsters that I'd really be kind of cautious of. Every other monster, for the most part, it's not going to be too crazy. The lower tier dragons are pretty average and fair, I think, in combat. But that's about the only monsters I would maybe not steer away from, but be conscious that there's a, if your players can't damage it, most players will either kind of get upset that everything they're doing is not working, or B, they'll die. The other part, there's some talk about banshees and shades being particularly scary. Yes, banshees. Anything that has etheroness. Can you pull up a banshee for me on the doodad? Here we go. Oh. Perfect. And we can scoot that over there. Cool. So as we kind of look at the Banshee, so the key things we're going to look at is the damage resistance and damage immunities. So when we look at like the resistances, it's going to be resistant to a lot of things. Damage resistances are fine. Damage resistances basically mean the monster has more HP than what it looks like. So you can expect the HP value to be 1.5 times or 2 times as much as kind of what it has. So it has somewhere around 75 to about 100 HP for most kind of encounters. Then we're going to look at damage immunities. Immune to poison, cold, and necrotic. It's not too crazy. I mean, since you can still kind of hit it with a sword, you can shoot it with an arrow. Your basic attacks like Firebolt are still going to work. Eldritch Blast, is that force? Yeah, so a lot of these things are going to be fine. So we're not going to worry too much about that.
I have an opinion question for you. Is sneak attack considered piercing, bludgeoning, or slashing?
I would
Is it its own category?
Sneak it. If I were quick side note, Ben just asked if sneak attack damage was piercing, slashing, bludgeoning, etc., etc. I would base sneak attack damage off of the damage type of the weapon. So, I mean, most finesse weapons are going to be piercing. So, for the most part, I would just say in a general ruling that sneak attack damage is piercing. That's kind of what I go for. Back to our Banshee. Condition immunities, these are fine. Honestly, you don't have to worry too much about focusing on this kind of stuff when you're choosing the monster. These are just cool perks to kind of have. Definitely be aware of them so players can't do things like sleep or, do any kind of nonsense.
I had a special purple worm that was immune to being knocked or being paralyzed, and I didn't read that because it was in a different text.
Oh, yeah. So Ben was talking about how he had a purple worm, and there was text. It was special, so it had immunity to being paralyzed.
Yes, paralyzed.
But that text was elsewhere. Also, if you have a special monster in some of these adventures or book covers, make sure you kind of follow through the whole blip and see if there are those special texts afterwards. I've run into things like the King of Feathers in Schultz is a T-Rex, but it has, it can teleport, and it has some special text about it that's not, in the same stat block area.
Also, it's a monstrosity.
Also, it's a monstrosity, not a beast.
Correct.
So there's that. So then pulling down, we're going to get past all that stuff and looking at its actions and its abilities.
So then the cone, if you got.
Oh yeah,
You're still answering this. I think the most deadly thing about it is the visage. If they fail that, they can't get back to it.
That's fair. But we're looking at a wisdom saving throw, DC 13. So Banshee is scary because of the visage. Lots of buttons happening. Can you boost me? It's a little bit hard to.
You want this bigger?
Not for me, personally. I don't know if you can. I can't see the text on the screen too well. I'm blind, everyone. I have terrible vision. I need glasses. Anyways,
take us out of studio mode.
That's okay for right now, right? Sure. Everything's fine. So horrifying visage, 60 feet that the Banshee can see, succeeds on a wisdom saving throw or be frightened for a minute. A frightened target can repeat the saving throw at the end of each of its turns with disadvantage if the Banshee is within sight, ending the effect on itself on a success. If the saving throw is successful, the effect ends it and it's immune to it. So this is actually kind of a fun concept with monsters. As a DM, as you continue to play more, you will find out that your monsters need to have crowd control effects and things that really disrupt players. Surprise attacks or surprise rounds and things like that. Otherwise, players have the ability to kind of raffle stomp through things. Horrifying visage causing the frightened effect on a player isn't devastating. It does make it so that players can't approach you, so if they are a melee class, it gives you those moments of being left alone. If you are a ranged class, then all it does is it gives you disadvantage on attacking the target. But if you're a ranger who has a plus 9 to your attack, rolling with disadvantage, whereas it still sucks rolling with disadvantage, but you've still got a crazy attack bonus for these things. It does affect spellcasters quite a bit, causing the disadvantage, so it does help you. But all of these things, not too crazy. It's the things when you run into monsters that do reducing your base scores, like someone who has a crippling touch that reduces the strength score of a player. early. I don't think there are any monsters early on that have that ability, but those can be really devastating.
Commander want to know if you have a low level party, would you give the monsters cantrips?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I don't see why not.
Commander, if you again, I have noticed Wizards has done a great job of balancing monsters in like their power level versus the players. If you have a monster with cool abilities, I would tell you to use those super powerful abilities, like yeet the players, dude. Just everything with disregard, go 100%, and don't pull your punches. This is something that's okay. Now,
I'm answering another question for.
I do have to say that this is low-level parties. Don't pull your punches. Just full gusto. If you're playing with a group of new players who are fresh to the game, that's the only instance that I would really tell you to like pull your punches and go easy on players. Otherwise, I mean, bring it 100%. If they have cantrips, if they have spells, max spell. Like round 1, I'm talking like if you've got like invisibility, cast it immediately. If you've got any and every ability that you have, use it and really challenge the players to work both as a team and to think of things in a tactical manner.
I think one thing that I've noticed and I've done to make a combat more difficult but simple to modify is instead of doing the average hit dice, max it.
Oh, that's rude. Okay, so Ben was telling me that. Okay. Oh, this is really good. When you have creatures that deal damage, so life drain for the wraith, you'll notice it has the average damage first, and then it has the roll in parentheses. If you go strictly off average damage, you will notice immediate fear in players because it's the average damage is a lot, and it can really scare the players. Especially like if you have poor rolls and you're like hitting thing, like you finally hit the freaking tank who has an AC of like 3 million, and you roll out and it's 5 damage. It's debilitating. But what Ben was mentioning was like, consider doing max damage.
No.
Or
just max their hit points.
Oh, max the hit points of the monster?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good move. So you'll also notice, like, this is more of a monster building aspect of, like, when you understand how the hit points of the monsters are calculated, you can max the HP of the monsters to kind of give them more of a fighting chance. That's something that I would definitely do if you have a large party and they're only fighting like a monster. If you boost the HP like a crazy amount, it'll guarantee that at least your monster will be able to affect the players a bit more and might be able to give them the sense of like danger and urgency, like, oh, it's the big bad boss. But yeah, average damage. That works out really well, and then don't pull your punches unless they're like new players, because it's no fun for a new player to like die off rip unless it's like something they're looking for.
I do average damage for like the first couple times, but once they like call me out on it or they realize that they can survive, I go ham and start rolling my damage.
And then you start rolling damage. I mean, There's been a time where like, for the most part, I roll the damage just because something that I like to do as a DM is I like to do open rolls. So I like to, like, when I roll to attack, everyone sees my d20. When I roll damage, everyone sees my damage. And it's really crazy when you have, I think it's orcs. Orcs have battle axes, so you can roll a d12. I mean, when you roll that sucker, like people are scared of it. I'm scared of it because boom, 12 plus 3 for my mods, 15. It's wild. Oh, and I get 2 attacks. Oh, and blah blah this or blah blah that. It's pretty good stuff. You said Fritz had a question. Or did you have a question for Fritz?
No, I had a question for Fritz.
For Fritz? What's your question for Fritz?
The Kenobi mic is working right now.
How's the Kenobi audio? Fritz, yeah, let us know if that's coming through.
Also, vote for what mic you should paint next. 1 for werewolf, 2 for torture rack.
Oh yeah, there we go. Oh, yeah, I got Ben in the house, dude. I don't feel so alone now. Let's but you can tell when you lean away. Let's see. Moving forward. So we've been talking about kind of building encounters and monsters. So it should be. I hope that it makes sense with the easy, medium, hard, and deadly kind of categories, and how the challenge rating, which has an XP value, kind of correlates to that, and that's how you will want to kind of build your encounters. The only other thing to pay attention to is the daily budgets. The daily budget is what you want to, like, if you're just throwing combat at players, when should you consider to let them take a short rest? That's what the daily budget's really good for.
I got an idea. We know that we have 3 players for Thursday. They're 5th level?
No, they're 1st level right now.
No, for Thursday?
For Thursday, for Dragonlance Fire Peak.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we see what the encounter's like for that and what it would consist of?
Yeah, that's a really good move. So this Thursday we're gonna have another adventure with Dragonfly Fire Peak. We have Lo, Lee, Cindy, and myself. They've been causing mayhem. They are 5th level, so we've got 3 of them at 5th level. So we're gonna go ahead and mess around with kind of our encounter builder, and we're gonna see kind of what we could throw at the players that might be fun and crazy. We've got Commander. The group I'll play with, I struggle with them metagaming as they memorize the monster manual, so I find them having to reskin a lot of the time. This is a problem that I hear a lot of people have. Metagaming can be rough. I don't
even mean to do it. Like, we go up against 3 ogres. I'm like, okay, cool. They have 11 armor class and 59 hit points. Why? Because I've ran Storming Stuff for so many times.
I've done so many ogre fights.
They've got like a +9 to hit, and they do like 12 damage or something.
So with metagaming problems, the Commander, do you play a home game, or are you playing out of a book? Would be my question. If you're playing a home game, there's something that I would like to approach at some point is building your own monsters. I find that kind of making my own monster and following kind of the guidelines they have in the Dungeon Master's Guide both it makes it so that players can't metagame. So when I've built these mini Godzillas that have like fire breath and do all these fun, amazing things, and they're a monster that no one has ever encountered before. And this sense of like new, crazy, monstery thing, and them trying to identify the aspects of it, that's actually a lot of fun that players have. The home game leading up to Curse of Strahd. So when you get into Curse of Strahd, obviously a lot of the monsters you have, if the players know everything about them, one thing that you can do is to adjust armor classes and kind of hit point totals and things like that. What you can do is
I just pulled up the resource of D&D Beyond has a really great resource for creating monsters. So if you feel like they're metagaming too hard, you can just start creating your own monsters. They have everything you need in here in order to make that simple for you.
Another aspect to look at is in the Dungeon Master's Guide in the Chapter 9, page 274. They have like monster statistics by challenge rating. If you can kind of maintain within the realm of these numbers to the challenge ratings kind of given, that's one way that you can fluctuate the monsters so that they're a little bit different, and you'll find that the metagaming gets a little bit wonky. Or I mean, like their metagaming, they're like, well, it used to do this, it used to that. The only thing that you might run into is that if the players are metagaming because they know all of the monsters, and then you're like, oh, what is it? This monster has an AC of 11 because I know this monster, and then they encounter it and they're like, I swing and I roll an 11, and you're like, it doesn't hit. Like they might get.
Well, a lot of that too
upset?
is are they wearing armor? Like there's ogres who have an armor class of 11 because they're not wearing any armor.
True.
I mean, they should have an armor class of like 9 because they have a -1 to their dexterity, but because they're larger, I think that they gave it to them. Is like give them a breastplate.
Just give them.
Their armor
give
class
them
will be a
breastplate.
16. Give them a shield.
When you kind of dive into like creating monsters and trying to reference monsters in the manual, everything is a little bit loose. Everything is very suggested. So like a challenge rating 1 monster, you're looking at the armor class being somewhere around 13, it having anywhere from 71 to 85 health points, and dealing about 9 to 14 damage per round. Building monsters like this is its own like 2-hour long tutorial on how to kind of like go about these things. What I would say is dive into the Dungeon Master's Guide and kind of familiarize yourself. Try to read through it. It's a little bit convoluted at certain points. Some of it makes sense, and then the moment it makes sense, it seems to not make sense. So it can be a little bit hard to understand. Oh, thank you, Danny. Danny's also mentioning like encounter builders are available at Kobold Fight Club. There are a lot of resources out there that can help you build monsters to appropriate challenge ratings, and doing so, it will reduce the metagaming like problem you have. However, when you get into like Curse of Strahd or a book cover where it has very defined monsters and stats, trying to get away from metagaming in those regards is tough. And the only way that you can kind of combat metagaming is by really develop the battlefield so that the players have to deal with like difficult terrain and cover, and then try to outmatch them with tactics. Because I'll notice a lot of players who metagame play by themselves. In a group setting, if you're playing by yourself and metagaming, I see that players have a lot of difficulty against a DM who is playing as a unit with all of the pieces that they have, and they're tactically superior, and metagaming falls short. Knowing the AC of a monster is cool and all. However, if you don't have the tactics and like the cooperation to defeat the monster, metagaming falls short in those regards.
I like the idea that you suggest about if they're on a mountainside, do they have the high ground? Do they get +2 armor class or something?
Yeah.
The thing that you have to remember while DMing and being careful about it is making sure that you remember those rules so that if the players get the high ground, that you're still applying. You
definitely got to give them the love too. But like, one of my favorite things is people like to shoot through doorways and things like that. Well, I just hide behind cover so you can't target me. Like it's, I don't know. Sorry. And the best part about it is like I can wait there forever and the players can't. So, like, if the players approach it the same way every time, it's easy to kind of debunk their strategies and counter them. So.
Fridge. Doors can be mimics too. Everything's a mimic.
Don't they have a gazebo mimic? They have a miniature of a gazebo mimic somewhere out there on the interwebs, and I love it.
I think my favorite mimic that I've seen so far in any adventure is in Ooze There, the CCC module.
Oh, is it the board you walk across?
Yeah, the bridge that you walk across is...
Okay, spoiler alert. If you guys get a chance, go to the DM's Guild, get Ooze There. It's a CCC. I don't remember who it's written by. It's a favorite out here in the Pacific Northwest. But there's an encounter specifically with a mimic that is it's a wild hoot. And so spoiler alert.
It's deadly.
It's very deadly.
You start out by fighting 2 or 3 gray oozes.
Yep. And
then you encounter a gelatinous cube, and then the mimic, and then 2 gibbering mouthers, as well as the end boss spellcaster.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough. Again, tactically speaking, if your party pays attention to their surroundings and how to approach a situation, they can walk through it alive. Otherwise, they'll get totally destroyed by just what they're running into. But the mimic encounter, there's 2 ledges, and there are these 2 boards that cross the gap, and it's sludge water underneath. So they can take board A or board B. And the players, you just ask them one at a time, like, which board do you take? They're like, well, is it sturdy? Yeah. So they walk across the board. The way that you push the encounter is the last person to walk across the board. When they try to pull their foot off, it gets stuck to it, and the board is the mimic, and then it's a encounter. But it's a really fun way to kind of tease the players by giving the option of A or B, and they're like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. You just kind of keep playing with it, and then you just let them all walk across, and then they're like, oh, well, it was nothing, and then it's never mind, it was a mimic the whole time.
It's always like a wizard that goes last too.
It's always a wizard that goes last. That's the best part. Anyways, coming back, treasure map mimic. Get out of here, Danny. Oh, here we go. Welcome to Avernus. All right, let's check out the chat. We've got Commander freaked out the party last week by putting hermit crabs in human skulls, which mostly worked. That's a really cool concept. I'm working on this home game, and I'm really trying to make my storytelling the best that I've ever done before, and so my big bad monster is a night hag, which I hope Katie's not listening because that's a huge spoiler. It'll pull up the stats for. You should pull up the stats for the night hag.
I was listening to some. Katie is in here, so you probably don't want us to say too much, or you've already spoiled it.
Oh, Katie, earmuffs. She'll forget about it. I hope.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah, there she is. She's just hanging out.
So before we move on to do that,
yeah,
I've been really wanting to do this Moana thing, and I think I would make the shiny whatever turtle guy be a dragon turtle, but with a higher armor class, because he even says that his armor's made out of gold. So
because its natural AC is 20,
yeah,
and you want to add some stuff to that.
Yeah,
that makes sense. You know what would be kind of cool is if you were to build a dynamic encounter with a monster whose armor class was 40. Okay, 40 AC. However,
I would actually cry because there's nothing over 25 or 26 in any adventure or in any book.
But in the encounter it'd be so you know how they're fighting in a cave? Maybe they have to do something to knock spires down, and it breaks a part of his shell, and so it drops the AC down to 16 at the
That's
end.
Pretty good.
I think that would be kind of a cool little encounter.
Drunk
monk ankle punch for
no. Players can get an AC of 40. Monsters don't have anything over 25.
All you gotta do, remember, is cast magic missile. It doesn't matter what your AC is. Hit you with magic missile, unless you have, what is it, like animated shield or
A ring of mind shielding.
Any of those things.
Or shield.
So, okay, so we have the Night Hag pulled up. So this is my big bad for the home game that I'm doing. I'm really excited about this because I've never gotten to use. I've always wanted to use like a hag for some kind of a thing, and I love this because it matches kind of the XP value that I'm looking for the big bad fight. And there's a really cool way to like story tell everything that's happening with the Night Hag. So the Night Hag has scroll down a little bit to the Night Hag items. One tip that I would give you is that if you're kind of building a story, is when you're kind of looking at monsters and you have your budget, and you're like, okay, I get to CR, whatever. Read a little bit about some of the monsters, and this can kind of help bring cool ideas to life. And this is the big interest that I had is in the Night Hag items. So the Night Hag has two very special items that they love. The first one is a Heartstone. The Heartstone is just this small black gem, but it's integral to using the Night Hag's special abilities. And it takes a month for them to make it. The second item they have is a Soul Bag. So what the Night Hag does is it tries to corrupt good people to do bad things, and then it haunts them in their dreams and steals their soul, and then takes their soul to hell. And again, like these two items the Night Hag has are really difficult for them to make. And the blip right above it is that the Night Hag will go to great lengths to kind of get these items back if they're lost. So my idea is that the Heartstone, so the Night Hag has polymorph. The Night Hag can kind of assume the identity of whatever. Change shape. There it is. They'll change shape to kind of blend in and because they prey on the souls of the good people, blah, blah, blah. My whole concept was that the Night Hag assumes the identity of like an elderly woman who's living in the town that the players just arrive at. The Night Hag ends up getting robbed by a bandit clan, and because she's smart, she's got a high enough intelligence that she'd come to the conclusion that like, okay, I'm gonna let them rob me, and then I'll try to get the items back later. So they steal the Heartstone from her, and then the story arc is I'm gonna try and get the players to help the Night Hag kind of like do her bidding under the guise of being an elderly like widow, and try to really play at the strings and like the law. Like I want players to like feel loss and love, and then because the Night Hag slowly corrupts good people, it allows me to kind of like really blend in the life of the townspeople around it, and it being like the boss at the end, like as at the very end of level 4s when they'll fight the Night Hag, like I want them to like hit the realization that they've been helping the bad guy the whole time, and just try to like give them that little bit of salt and that sting, and like really like mess with their trust and kind of help them develop both as players and as characters. So let's see. Dragon turtles collect items. Protect the dragon turtles. 21. But yeah, so that's something that I'm really looking forward to. And
so
what are they going to be encountering Thursday?
So Dragon of Icefire Peak this upcoming Thursday. They get to actually do one of their like heavier kind of encounters. So they never finished the Mountain's Toe. That's what they're doing this Thursday. Thank you. So Dragon of Icefire Peak, which again I've said this once, I'll say it again. This is a really great adventure. If you're a new DM or old, it doesn't matter who you are. The adventures in this, I love them. They've got really good templates, and ooh, hey, there's a map. Fun encounters, and it's inspired me to kind of make these things. But the players just encountered Mountain's Toe, the gold mine, where they encountered. Oh god, I gotta remember this. Okay, because I played it again earlier. So they went here. They killed 2 were-rats. They killed were-rats.
I think that they have taken care of most of the were-rats.
They took care of most of the were-rats. They haven't explored the whole thing. I don't think. In any case, this is great for me to talk about. So they encounter were-rats. This is what we had mentioned, like monsters to be wary of for your players to encounter. A were-rat has 2 scary things about it. The first and foremost is that it is immune to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from non-magical attacks not made with silvered weapons. Meaning that unless I were to give the players magic weapons or silvered weapons or something of the sort, the players stand little chance of like defeating, a handful of them at a time. In Dragon of Icespire Peak, there is a section where the players have the capability to encounter a magic weapon. However, for the most part, they're not giving the players the capability to fight the were-rats. Because of the player base that I have, Lee, Cindy, and Lo are all kind of experienced players and can kind of make a smart kind of decision on this. If they go ham and fight all the were-rats aren't going to... I mean, they're not going to die. Although I think I gave them silvered weapons.
No, they all got magic weapons from
Adventures. They all have magic
League.
weapons because we're doing Adventures League.
Did you see what Danny just said?
Oh, yeah, okay. There's a situation, right? Danny's got this right on the nose. So, if you get turned into a lycanthrope, you get the damage immunities. It's a cool little blip. However, it also means that, lycanthropes can't hurt each other because they're not doing magic damage to each other. And what lycanthrope would have a silvered weapon? That's, that's like Superman walking
I encountered one in World's Largest Dungeon.
A lycanthrope with a silvered weapon?
Yeah, it was a were-rat with a silvered weapon.
I mean, I guess it would make sense because a were-rat would come to the conclusion that he couldn't hurt another were-rat.
But that's the only location in the entire first section of World's Largest Dungeon where you find a silvered weapon.
Yeah. I turned Katie into a were-rat. That happened.
You also are turning Lo into one.
Oh, I turned Lo into a were-rat. Oh, it's great. It's been... Oh, now I remember because Cindy was playing Sylvie. She's like, I'm going to join the gang. And I was like, okay. It's one other thing that's really great is, when you think of, getting turned into, getting affected by lycanthropy, I feel like is a really scary and thing that's gonna ruin a character. However, it doesn't. So if you're a DM and you have a were-rat and you can give someone lycanthropy, do it, because it's easy to get rid of, unless a creature or a person is born with lycanthropy. You can cure it. So it's not something that you're it's not as devastating as you might imagine it to be.
Don't they have till the next full moon to solve it?
Mm-hmm. You can get rid of it whenever.
Really?
Yeah. So kind of as a DM thing that I go by is that when you get bit and you contract the disease, they talk about lycanthropes can do one of two things. They either can kind of fight the the lycanthropy part where they're gonna like turn into a thing and get all evil and attack stuff, or they can either resist it or they kind of accept it. And so what I like to do is I'll ask the player, once they contract the disease, if they want to resist it or not. If they resist it, then what happens is if there is a full moon, the players don't get a choice. They turn into the the were thing. Otherwise, the players can maintain their humanoid form and they can go about their daily lives, such as until the full moon thing kind of hits. And then Danny's also pointing out that they do get stat boosts, the immunity to damage. For the were-rat, if your dexterity is 15 or lower, or lower than 15, it gets changed to a 15. If it's higher, it doesn't change at all.
But if you're playing Adventures League, your character retires if you don't fix it.
For real?
Yeah.
That I did not know.
You can't be a vampire or wear anything in Adventures League.
Oh. I didn't know that. Well, all it is a not lesser restoration.
Greater. It's greater.
Greater restoration?
Which Lee will be able to cast now that he's 5th level.
Yeah. So it's something that it's not debilitating. It doesn't destroy anybody. And you also get the keen smell trait. That's a cool thing too. Advantage on anything that requires smelling.
So are they encountering anything other than were-rats this week, we think? Because they're not watching.
No, they're gonna go through the rest of the mountains gold mine. Oh, okay. So here's a blip. As a DM, you run into the situations mainly in modules where there's like an exploration feeling. So in this section of the adventure, the Mountains Toe Gold Mine, it's massive. There's like almost 20 areas for the players to kind of visit and check things out. However, all except for 5. So you've got like almost 15 dead rooms. Only 5 of them is there anything that like engages the players. How do you fix that? So they're not just like meandering around like, I step into this open cavern. You see a rock. Is there anything else in this room? No, I searched for traps. There's nothing. And instead of like running into the situation where nothing. If you are playing the Adventures League, and this is something that I'm a huge fan of, is that they allow the DMs to give the players gold kind of freely up to a certain amount per level. And this is something that I'll get to utilize. So as the players kind of like traverse and move around, I can add flair and color into a room, and I can give them, like, they can search and they can find like a loose rock with some gold in it. That's awesome. That's something that I really enjoy. If you're not going by those rules and you're just going strictly by the book, if you notice that, again, 90% of your kind of cavern is dull and there's nothing going on, if you look like through the treasure and the stuff that is available in certain areas, break it up and give the players stuff like that. Or, add more monsters. Or just don't involve the rooms at all.
Just take them out.
Just take them out.
I think we should build an encounter, Mikey. Like, just for fun.
Just for funsies?
Yeah. And if we want to use it, like, on a Thursday game,
I got a
do
plan.
that for
Okay.
a random encounter.
So Thursday, we're doing Dragon of Icespired Peak. Did I tell them they're all 5th level? Yeah, they're all 5th level right now, because I have the plus 1 weapons. We're going to build an encounter. We're going to build a deadly encounter for them to encounter in the cave. So let's put this stuff together. So manage my characters, or are they already average party level 5? I've got 3 of them.
I think we could do.
Oh, they also have Don John Raskin.
Never mind.
That's something else that they have. They do have someone with them. And Don John, you could say he's level... He's like level 4.
What I thought we could do is I thought that we could bring in the characters from the campaign.
Oh, it's just
like
pop
I
them
thought
in
that's
like
what
that?
we were able to do here with the add character.
Do we have their character sheets on Beyond, right? Okay, so here's the plan. We're gonna start building something. Go ahead and get rid of that. Yeah, get rid of that. 3 characters, 5th level. It's all gonna be fine. Don John. Did I kill Don John? They killed Don John. Don John's gone. Don John's gone. All right. So, what are my, because the little painting things in the way, I can't see my budgets.
This is in your way?
Yeah.
Ah.
All right. So we've got. So what's my deadly budget? 3,300. Oops. Oh, too far. Oh, too close. Oh, too far. Actually, yeah, we'll use this. Okay. My daily budget 3,300. Okay, so we're gonna build an encounter. One thing to kind of focus on, or that we're gonna conceptualize, is that we have 3 players. That means that 3 actions from the players are gonna be made before it's gonna be my turn to do some stuff. I think that we could probably get away with a single monster.
That's not true. Lee's playing a cleric.
Lee is playing cleric. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and match the number of monsters to the amount of players. So that way they kind of have to split up their attacks. And I'll have the capability to kind of surround them and move around. And I can split up my damage, or I can focus all of my damage on one thing as well. So it'll kind of... Plus... If, someone's like, oh, I'm going to use this ability that deals 10 billion damage.
Solo monster, legendary actions.
Solo with legendaries? Maybe. So our budget is 3,300.
Is there a monster that's got legendary actions that's tier 2 appropriate?
I mean, I could give them legendary actions.
I mean, other than dragons?
Other than dragons? No, well, I don't think there is. Alright, so it's 3,300. If we're looking at the book, we're going to be looking at challenge rating 6 and challenge rating 7. So if we 7 and 8. If we were going to do one monster, a challenge rating 8 monster would probably be what we want to look at. Now, it's the XP of a CR 8 is 3,900, so it is above what they have. However, again, it's not a crazy amount over. We will want to make sure that kind of the abilities that the monster has won't KO the whole party.
So I just saw Bag of Nails on this list. I don't know if anybody knows about Bag of Nails, but I have a story.
Go ahead.
So we were playtesting Guildmaster's Guide to Ravnica. Yes, our name is in it. But Amy was playing a centaur, and she's the person who's crossing into the town of the Tomb of Annihilation plate, like the actual location of all these things.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts to cross the river, and that's when I decided to drop Bag of Nails in on her. Bag of Nails is an assassin, which is my favorite class to play, so I play it exactly like how I would play it. I shoot her with a longbow from 150 feet away. She has no idea where it is because I beat her passive perception. Even her active perception, I beat it. I natural 20 on her. With the assassinate ability, I doubled all damage. And they made me roll it. So I did 8d6 sneak attack damage. It also has poison on the longbow, which is 7d6, so I did 14d6 poison damage. She failed her save. And then 2d8 plus 3 piercing damage. I did 80 something damage to her and killed her outright.
Oh my god.
And that's the second
Like dead.
Yeah, like double her
no
hit
saves.
points dead.
Yep, I love it.
This is the second time she's played a centaur. This is the second time I've killed her.
You're rude. That's hilarious.
Playing her centaurs.
That is so funny.
So,
all right. So one thing I want to do is to first we need to decide: do we want to split up our monsters and have more than one monster, or do we want to do a single baddie? I kind of like the idea of having 2 or 3. That's kind of the way I feel. Ben, what do you think? Should we have one baddie or more than one baddie?
I think that if it's just one baddie, they might like that. That's kind of like a reoccurring monster kind of thing, where it could be super deadly. But also, have you seen the Wandering Monster for this?
Was this wave 3?
Wave 2.
Which one?
The Beholder Cat.
Oh yeah, the fuzzball with the one cat eye.
Charles,
Fritz, no, not 24 raptors. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
That's just a summoner. You're a summoning druid.
The Beholder Cat. I somewhat saw it. I read the encounter description where they encounter the fuzzball, which turns into an eye, and then the extra eyes come in.
Yeah.
I read that, and I was like, oh, that's adorable.
It's almost like a displacer beast with all like the tails and stuff, but it's just the eye stalks.
It's got laser pointer.
I rolled a random eye for the disintegration ray, and I was randomly choosing who it was going to be, like rolling randomly. But when I rolled that, I was like, I'm targeting the druid who's already in a shape, who's a bear. They made their save. I did like 44 damage. They took 22 of it, and they were fine.
One thing I will say.
12 raptors?
One thing, Fritz. No, not 12 raptors.
Okay, Fritz. Here, we're gonna just throw this in here for you.
Put the raptors in there. So one thing that I will say is that I love druids as a DM, because druids are just, they're just HP soaks. Like, if you're playing against, if you have a druid who's a shapeshifter, like I love it so much because I get to just do so much damage. I could just huck all sorts of damage at this druid, and for the most part, like, they just soak it all and then keep going. I love it. It's fantastic. Katie plays a multi-class druid, and it's fantastic because I can just like relentlessly deal damage.
Raptor doesn't show up. We have Clawfoot Raptor, but that's in Wayfinder's Guide to Everon.
Yeah. So because we also want to, like, they're currently in the mountain's toe, like they're in a cave. Like, we want to make it so that it kind of makes sense that what they're encountering. I've got 3 things that if we want to do a single monster, I think it would all work. First and foremost is a Hydra.
So here's why Fritz Velociraptors are deadly. They may have 10 hit points and 13 armor class, but they have multi-attack and pack tactics.
Oh yeah, pack tactics,
like,
and multi-attack is oh, that's one thing. When you're building encounters, if you have a crazy amount of like dudes that, especially if they have pack tactics and multi-attack, it's explained as action economy. Like, you can like devastate parties if you're just, even if the party has high AC, if you're just rolling tons of dice, it can annihilate groups. So you want to be a little bit not wary, but you want to just be aware of that happening. So we've got a Hydra. I think a Hydra might be able to fit into the whole like mountain's toe kind of a doodad in some way. There could be an underground lake, so they like fall through into a loose floor into like an open area, and then they fight a Hydra. That could be fun. Another monster is possibly the Assassin. which is, I think it's a little less exciting. You could come up with some kind of thing like someone in town sent an assassin after them. But I don't think it'd be really impact. I think the Hydra would have a heavy impact than the
I
assassin.
think if you did the Hydra for their level and the amount of players, it would be okay. But you would
fits...
have to reduce the amount of hit points it has or something.
No, I wouldn't reduce any of it. I mean, again, it does exceed the budget value a little bit. And when you start reading about the Hydra, it is scary. But I mean, the players we have the Barbarian. Everyone
Who does
has
slashing damage.
Yeah. However, the whole where's the slashing damage in the head part? Like at a certain point, like the Hydra constantly loses HP, even if it's the slashing element.
If it takes 25 damage on a single turn, one of its heads dies. Mm-hmm. If all the heads die, the Hydra dies. That's not what we're looking for.
So
at the end of its turn, it grows 2 heads, and each head that is dies is the last turn, unless it takes fire damage.
So in all of these regards, I think the players could handle it.
Sacred Flame is radiant damage.
That's true. However, Cindy's gonna do piercing damage, and it's gonna be a ton of dice. The AAC 15 on the Hydra, pretty high. It would be kind of hard to hit, and the 172 hit points also makes it pretty devastating. And the multi-attack feature, pretty scary. I don't know. We'll see. We've got the comic albums like.
Where are they talking about that, Commander?
What are they doing? So possibly a Hydra. It does seem really. It might be a little bit too much. The fire damage aspects. I think that if I gave the players the cue that they needed to also deal fire damage, they might be able to succeed.
I've seen a Hydra devastate a party of 6 tier 2 players.
It's fine. It's fine. Well, the other ones that I have is like a Spirit Naga. That one's also very scary.
What are you looking at, CR8?
Yeah. I also want to use the Deathlocks. Those things I think are kind of neat. A Frost Giant falls into the thing. Like I think I could do a Frost Giant.
A variant Frost Giant?
Yeah.
This one's it's so huge.
So but I would have them do it outside or something. We could
like what, he's trying to capture the dragon with the weighted net? Like what do you
I think I would roleplay it as like the Frost Giant would. Let's see. We have to give the Frost Giant motivation. Why would the Frost Giant want to attack the characters? I don't think it would. Oh, well,
Oh, jeez.
What? Oh, King of Feathers. Yeah. I just love the fact that he can teleport. It's not on this thing either, is it?
No.
Oh wait, innate spellcasting. He can cast Misty Step at will, requiring no components. That's what it is. Misty Step is ridiculous. Well, seeing as how like a single monster, it doesn't seem to really be fitting in all of these things. There's the Spirit Naga. But again, like, none of these things are really kind of fitting into it as a single fight. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to look at kind of a multiple monster fight. We're going to try and... It's 3,300 is our budget, right? Still?
For deadly, yes.
For deadly? Okay. So we know that 2 monsters is a 1.5 multiplier. So we'll be looking at CR 3s, 14, maybe 21. 21 CR 4s. 22.
20 abyssal chickens.
We're going to look at possibly doing CR 4 monsters, 2 of them.
Fred suggests a Nothic, but I think that might be too low of a CR. Because they're generally alone. But, I mean, it would fit for them being in where the were-at is.
Well, if we look at CR4 monsters, I mean, we've got things like...
Drow Gunslinger.
Oh, Were-Tiger. A Were-Tiger's a CR4. That might fit perfectly into the whole challenge rating shenanigans that we're doing. They have magic weapons, so I don't have to worry about them not doing any damage.
They're really going for... Dude, have you got... Is a Roper...
A Roper
What
plus
is-
swarms. A Nothic of Ropers. I want to do like...
combo.
I guess I could do like a Were-Boar and a...
What's the backward-handed tiger people?
Oh, I know what they're talking about.
Or Sasha?
Right? Or
Oh.
whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Those guys are cool.
Rock Sasha would go really well in an Avernus campaign. I don't know.
But I think, a Were-Tiger might fit the bill. It's powerful. It's going to stick around. There are 2 of them. So it's really going to press... Oh, man. I already know what's going to happen. I already know 100%.
Sylvie's going to want to be Were-Tiger.
No, I'm going to end up killing Cindy. I'm going to go, okay, well, I'm Were-Tigers. I'm going to go straight in, and I'm just going to start Well, actually... Maybe Cindy will become a Were-Tiger.
Well, we're bored.
I don't think she wants to be a boar. She'll get mad at me. I'll die in real life.
I
That's no fun.
don't know what the CR of a were-bear is. This is
It's a CR5. What about a...
This is my only dislike for...
What if we do a giant shark and a... we'll do a giant shark and a bearded devil.
Get out of here.
No? What if we do...
Where would you put the shark?
The shark has levitate on it. It's a shark. Earthbark.
And air breathing?
Yeah. Yes. An air
land shark, a boulette. What's the CR of a boulette?
5. We can do a bullet. Oh, here we go. Now we're on to something, because I think a bullet has a lot of, it's going to force them to think outside the box. It's terrifying. At 18, that means we're looking at a
Danny,
CR.
this isn't... Wow.
2 and 2, so 400. So we can do a bullet and something with it, a CR2. Or we can just do the bullet. What is that, 18? It's a medium fight?
Shark floating in a water elemental. They have a symbiotic relationship.
Yeah! So that's what I want to do, dude. Let's do a bullet and a...
I think that you throw the bullet in with just a couple were-rats, if there's still a couple left.
You think?
Just a were-rat.
I don't know.
What's up, Benji the Great?
Hey yo, 2234. That's the name of that's the password to my phone.
I thought that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
No, it's too many numbers. I can't count that high. Let's do. Yeah, I can't. The pull down the what Mikey should paint next some more. Just put it like all the way behind me.
Oh, you can't see that.
Bullet and a were rat. Yeah, might as well. That means I get 2 monsters.
You want to
do
explain
some stuff.
to Benji what we're doing?
Oh, yeah. Hey, what's going on, Benji? The Great. So what we are talking about today is we're talking about some Dungeons and Dragons. I'm sure you've heard about it. It's I think it's one of the most popular role-playing games ever. It's self-renowned as the greatest. I love it. I think it's fantastic. Right now what we're doing is we're building an encounter for some players by means of throwing monsters at them to challenge, not to kill them, to challenge their survivability. Yikes. So behind me, you'll see that we're using D&D Beyond's Encounter Builder. It's got a bunch of stuff and some things. The interesting thing is the bar kind of ahead of me that's like glowing in orange red, blood orange. Nah, doesn't matter. We're just trying to find something that's adequate and challenging. Following that, Benji, if you don't have any friends that play this, that's totally fine. There are a ton of not supplements. I was gonna say supplements. Why did I say supplements? There are a ton of places that you can check out and actually like get games going. Most prominently, like any local game store, you can phone them in and see if they play. A lot of places do like drop-in and games. If you want to play from the comfort of your own home, there's Roll20.net. They have an entire looking for group session. They're very open to new players. So if you've never played before, you're in the right place.
You can also go to locator.wizards.com and search for your game stores in your area and see if they have that. Reddit, looking for group, meetup.com,
Yeah.
warhorn.net.
If you go to conventions, any kind of like gaming convention, they generally also have kind of a pop in and play D&D thing. So this weekend, I'm going to be at Jet City. I'm going to be at Jet City this upcoming weekend. Here in the Pacific Northwest, you just show up, find the D&D dudes, be like, "Hey, I want to play," and you're off to the races. So, hey, yeah, Roll20.net. And Roll20.net is actually it's an incredible resource. It's a really fun way to play tabletop games. It's got a like dynamic lighting and all this crazy cool stuff.
Yeah, Danny, we got asked to be at Jet City as well, so Mikey will not be at Zulu's for Drums of the Dead, but we will be up at Zulu's for Drums of the Dead for Josh's birthday. We're donating to, I can't remember the charity.
Page Ahead.
Page Ahead, thank you.
Yeah, we're doing charity stuff. Page Ahead. Literature for kids, because we love kids and literature. Especially for me, who can't read. Also, following forward. You play with voice chat, Benjamin.
Or you can type.
You don't have to. It's one thing that I have noticed is that D&D is as popular as it's ever been. It's one of the most welcoming kind of things that I've ever kind of encountered and run into and things like that. So you'll definitely find, either meeting up with someone in person, playing online from the comfort of your home, voice chat, text, things like that. It's all fantastic. We will be there.
What are we running? Like, we haven't determined that. I think we should run 0901.
You know what we're running at Jet City?
Glipdak.
We're not running Glipdak. What? No, we're not running Glipdak at Jet City.
I think you should just run 0901 because every time that they do a section, they gain a level up to level 3.
Maybe what I was considering at Jet City was we'd run a table of a learn to play, because those are always requested. Run Eberron, get early spoilers, and Warforged. No, what we're gonna do at Jet City is we're gonna run a learn to play table, and then we're going to have a tier 1 of nonsense. Because everything is last minute, I have no idea.
Daniel will be there Sunday to run 0901. Bet.
Might go Sunday. I mean, yeah, we'll all be there Sunday. Sunday, I'm not too worried about. We'll do whatever. It's Saturday is the only day that's a little bit wonky, because all of the help that I have is leaving, and I don't know what Saturday is going to look like. I don't know what Saturday is going to look like, but stuff will happen. So,
I think that this encounter will scare the crap out of Lee, and he's just gonna want to run.
With the bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's run it. Yeah, bullet and were rat. Easy. Oh, now we have to lead into it. Like, you know.
Hang on, Benji's got a few more questions. Benji, I
of
say
course.
if you have the free handbook, you're okay. Like, you're ahead of the game. You don't necessarily need the handbooks to play everything, but if you want to, yeah, we can't necessarily sponsor that, Danny. So, if you have the free handbook, you're fine to get started, but eventually you'll need the handbook to evolve and build your character.
Yeah, I would definitely, everything that Ben said. I mean, you don't need a whole lot of stuff to start playing. The one thing to do is start playing. You don't need a lot of resources to do that. And then once you've started playing and you decide that this is something you like, you know, that's the point that I would tell you to look at getting a player's handbook. One tool that I really like is the D&D Beyond. They have the electronic tool books. Those have been invaluable to me. They're fantastic. I really like them. The comfort of everything in your palm. Yeah, Danny's right. The open source stuff at WotC, all of this stuff is available, and it's to help you get started in playing and you know, really enjoy it. So we're gonna move back to our encounter. So we have our encounter. We know what we're using. It's deadly. It fits within the realm. The only thing I want to do is figure out, like, how are they going to encounter this in the mountain's toe?
Well, so boulettes are always like burrowing underground and stuff, so it could always be one of those things where, like, it's also fighting the were-rat, so that will make the encounter easier, as it's like a 1v1v3 v1.
Maybe, I mean, we'll see. We'll see. The only thing I gotta
Sturges
do
instead of were-rats.
I mean, to make this make sense, I think what's going to happen is the ground beneath them is going to collapse, and I'm going to try to make them fall into, like, an open area. Because since the bullet is a large size, it's not going to fit well in the mountain's toe. I have a map. I made a map. I make maps. Hey, I make a map, set. But it's not going to fit regularly in the mountain's toe. So what I'll need to do is kind of edit that up a little bit. Make them fall in.
I don't understand the were-rat versus Sturges. Like,
I like the
were-rat is a CR2, but a Sturge is a CR18. But if you put 2 Sturges in there, it makes the encounter deadly.
Oh, like getting... Yeah, because of the ×2 blip.
Sure. Benji, I would say both. It is both fun as far as gameplay and strategy and that sort of thing, but you can also get into the roleplay aspect of it. We're not actually playing the game right now. We are building encounters for our game that we're playing on Thursday.
Yeah, you can tune in with Cleric Games tonight if you want to follow or subscribe tonight with Danny. It's Demons and Devils as the players kind of begin their descent into Avernus. You can tune into that. You can kind of watch and kind of see what it's all about. Otherwise, I mean, Twitch has a billion games of people playing D&D. Peruse around, check things out. Every DM is different, but it's fantastic and fun. I think I thought I just saw it. It's if we were going to do a CR2, we could throw in a bullet and an on-keg. And
another on-keg?
You know, yeah, dude. Acid spray. On-kegs are so powerful. I love them. Let's do that. Or we can do a black dragon wormling. Or a green dragon wormling. And then we can role play it as like the bullet is like eating dragon eggs. Nah, that's too
Why
scary.
wouldn't you flavor it as a white dragon then?
Because I can use the white dragon wormling. Oh, let's do that. That'd be adorable.
Hey, thanks Benji for the follow.
Hey, thank you for the follow, Benji. Commander. That reminds me of my big bad in my campaign. It was a Warforged wearing a human skin suit. That's terrifying. That is terrifying.
I think Fritz could get into that.
Fritz is already in
Ooh, I think I might go back to Fritz's first suggestion of
What, the Nothic?
But a Nothic and a Boulette.
Alright, let's check out this Nothic for a second. Armor class is 15, so that's pretty good. Hit points 45 means it's not going to die in one hit. Multi-attack means it's going to deal... I have a chance to deal solid damage. Claw attack is so-and-so. Rotting Gaze. The Nothic targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. The target must succeed a DC 12 con saving throw against this magic or take 3d6 necrotic damage.
Flumps aren't hostile, Fritz.
Dog, we gotta put 100 flumps. I love flumps, dude. Flumps are one of my favorite monsters. So Rotting Gaze, I think, is gonna fall short because of the con save.
I mean, you just don't target the barbarian.
That's fair.
No, I like Nothics. I also have a miniature that almost looks like a Nothic. But I definitely have a Boulette mini.
Weird Insight. The Nothic targets one creature it can see within 30 feet of it. The target... I wish... Oh, can we get a ranged freaking monster? That's what I want. I want a bullet and I want a ranged monster.
Oh.
I mean, the Nothic Gaze works. Making them do the con saves. Like, that might be fine.
Stop with the Roper!
But I want a CR2 that's ranged. I either want it to cast spells or throw
I mean, a
stuff.
level 2 mage. Dragons of Icespire Peaks is where it's from. It's almost like it's perfect.
You know what's funny? That's the Essentials kit. That's what we're playing, right? It's the Essentials kit.
Yeah.
The Essentials kit you can play with. It's a 2-player game, so it's you and a friend, and your friend can have an ally or a follower, and that's the statistics to one of the followers.
Yeah, Benji, that's another idea. Is if you like have a friend that like are also interested in this, you can always get the Essentials kit. It's like $25 from Target.
I think it's around. Yeah, it's about $25.99. It's about. Yeah.
That's a good like one-on-one way to play if you want to try that out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I would totally.
Then what about a Thayan Apprentice?
Are you kidding me?
Teach them to hate the Fae early on.
No, they're my favorite. They're such.
Oh wait,
good
no,
people.
that's
You're thinking
the red.
Red Wizards of Thay.
Yeah, red wizards with Fae. Yeah.
Thay and Apprentice. You were right. What about a swarm of poisonous snakes? Nah. What about a turtle druid? What about a werebat? What the fuck? What about? I think a white dragon wormling could be cute.
I think that you do this and you flavor it with like the boulette.
Yeah.
I gotta find my mini for this. I know I have one. I cannot find it.
I think I can come up with something. Bam. Yeah.
Are they fighting each other though?
No. That's the only thing that I need to come up with.
Also, I know that you can't hear the song, but it is dope.
What song is it?
It's called A Rose in the Field.
By Big Giant Circles.
Yeah. I thought you wrecked the white dragon. You tried to paint. I did, but that's a young white dragon, not a dragon wormling.
That's fair. Okay, so yeah. I mean, we're getting short on time here, anyway. So I'm gonna start wrapping things up. We have our encounter. We're gonna do our encounter. Yeah, we're gonna.
Can I add this encounter to a campaign?
I think so. So the encounter is still in beta. However, if you go like name your encounter. Well, you'll want to. So I just started using this the other night. You can name the encounter whatever you want it to. We'll name it Deadly Encounter, Deadly Ice-Fire Peak Death, Baby White Dragon.
Let's not do Deadly Ice, which is what I was gonna.
Baby Dragon do, Baby Dragon do. Bullet Pup. And then in the summary tab, it kind of gives you room to do whatever. I've found short summary is the only space that I put anything. And so, yeah.
Oh my,
done.
I just saw other streamers.
Benji, yeah, there's tons of other streamers. They're great. They're fantastic. Well, they're better than me. So, but yeah, and then you can just like, you hit view and it does all the fun jazz. And I'm.
You guys are gonna see behind the scenes. Oh, you can't just like add encounter. That's
No, I
sad.
don't think so. Still in beta. I'm really excited to see what they do. I want them to add in treasure. That's a whole other conversation of like how to handle like giving your players gold, especially if you're doing a homebrew. They've got amazing guidelines in the DM's guild or in the DM's guide. There we go. But it's a whole other thing. You can reach into your inner self where you can be whoever you want. Diablo, primeval of the nine hells, has arisen. I love Deckard.
So the one thing I would say, Benji, if you're new to this, just know like you do not have to go full on role play voices and everything like that. But a lot of people who stream like to do that just because it helps bring people in. So like if you're not comfortable doing that, don't worry about it. If you're Mikey, you got like old lady, surfer dude, Decker Kane.
I have old lady.
Those
I
are
do
the
have old lady.
You
Surfer
got,
dude.
yeah, Mikey, old lady, Decker Kane, and
It's
surfer
all Mikey.
dudes that everybody wants. Wow, dude.
Like, bro. That's me. That's what I sound like when I go to the grocery store. Cash your card, dude. Paper. Anyways, so following suit, I'm gonna start wrapping things up. Don't forget about tonight. It is Demons and Devils with Danny Morales. He's a fantastic DM. I wish I was as good as this guy. I look forward to watching what's going to go on tonight. So tune in 7 to 10 tonight Pacific Standard Time. If you guys I don't know what time frames y'all are at, but boom, 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 Pacific Standard Time, because we live on the coast where it's cold. It's raining. It rained so much yesterday, dude. It rained so much that I was swimming. I was swimming in rain. I don't know what I'm talking about. Tune in this upcoming Thursday. We're going to be continuing our adventures, the Dragon Icefire Peak. You get to hang out with Lo, Lee, Cindy, and myself as I try to kill the players using a bullet and a young dragon wormling. So that should be exciting and fun. Mondays, we're painting minis. It's a thing that we just started doing. It's enjoyable. It's fun. I've painted a couple of minis. I'm not a professional, and if you don't want to watch a professional paint, then you're in the right place to do it. Other than that,
If you want to feel better about your painting,
yeah, if you want to feel better about your painting, or if you want to make fun of me and my painting, tune in, check it out. It's fantastic fun. We've got more shows and more content coming out. We're working on things behind the scenes all the time. So from my
phone to yours.
From my phone to yours. Just turn that on. So I really enjoy you guys sticking around, hanging out, watching, and listening. I hope that maybe you learned something. Feel free to put stuff in the comments. Follow us on social media, clericgames.com. If you have more questions, things like that, you can email us at mine. You can email us at watch@clericgames.com. We'd love to hear from you guys. That's the Tuesday. And then we're going to start raiding some people. So who are we going to raid today?
We're gonna raid New Egg.
New Egg?
They're Explosion Dragons.
Awesome. So we're going to raid some other D&D players. Dude. Thank you guys for sticking around, hanging out. I'm Michael Gramling, the Bard Creative. Let's get out of here. Let's go. We're going this way. Let's go 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 that way.